Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and in today's video, we have a few topics to cover. Number one, obviously, we have to talk about the baseball game that's coming up tonight, and then ESPN has just released their percentages of the teams that have the best odds to win the SEC. We'll kind of talk about that. I'll give you my thoughts on it, and we, of course, have to talk about the official visits over this past weekend because they are done, and we got some good information from the insiders, and we got to listen to the players speak themselves. So, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. All right, so we'll be starting off with the baseball game. It's going to be today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPNU if you would like to check it out. Now, we talked some about this yesterday. I feel very confident coming into this one. Number one, because we are the much better team. At the same time, though, this is a game 3. It's win or go home, so anybody can win, and the ball can bounce in some funny ways sometimes, especially in baseball. It's very streaky. We already know that. You know, that's the main reason that we lost yesterday. It's not because the better team won. It's just because we didn't play our best game. If we play our best game today, then we will win, and I think that we will win big. I also have a lot more confidence knowing that Xander Sechrest will be getting the start for our Volunteers, and he's a really good pitcher, but the main reason that I'm very excited about it is because he is from Buford, Georgia. He, I think, went to Flowery Branch High School, but just him being from Buford, a place that I know very well, I know that he's a dog. In closed-out games, we are going to be at our best, so expect for him to come out and have a very good showing. Expect for him to go 5 to 6 innings. Might not give up any runs. At that point, the game should be very out of hand, but I just want to see our players stay focused, not like what we did yesterday where we get up 3-0, 4-0, whatever it was, and then we kind of started to lose some focus. Let's stay focused. Let's stay locked in. And I think that a big part of the reason that we can do that is because Simo will be back starting at second base. Speculated on, is he hurt or what's going on? Kind of heard that maybe he was hurt. Still don't know if he is or not, but he is going to be starting at second, and we need that fielding. You know, I want to see our fielding be really sharp, be really crisp. I want to see us, you know, make them throw us strikes, right? Like, let's not just swing at a whole bunch of junk. Talk about this almost before every single game in this NCAA tournament so far, but it's true. We've got to do that, and I want to see us throwing strikes. I think that we're going to have a really big showing today. Hopefully, y'all have a whole lot of confidence because I promise you that I do, and we might be going live after that game just to celebrate us going on forward to play Florida State in the World Series in Omaha. But I will also say this. I want to hear Lindsey Nelson rocking. Our fans have got to get into this one because Florida State's fans are loud the entire game. They're chanting all that. That's not really our style, but I do kind of feel like in baseball, little things like that can kind of sway the momentum of the game. So let's get used to cheering. Let's get used to cheering really loud. If you're going to be at that one, make sure that you get the decibels all the way up, baby. All right. Let's go ahead and switch gears to ESPN's odds to win the SEC. And we're just looking at the top 5 teams with the highest probability, according to ESPN, to win the SEC. We got Georgia at number 1, Texas at 2, Alabama's at 3, Missouri's at 4, and then our Volunteers are at 5. And I think that this is a pretty solid list, but mine looks a little bit different. And I'm going to be telling you why based off of the schedule. So number 1 for me, I have Texas. And if you look at their schedule, they got Michigan. That one stands out. Oklahoma, that's always going to be a tough one. Georgia, and then Texas A&M at the end of the season. I think that Texas A&M is going to surprise a whole lot of folks, but I think they can win every single one of these games. If I had to pick one game that they would lose, it would be the Oklahoma game, just because Texas and Oklahoma is a huge rivalry, and if they struggle up against anybody, it tends to be Oklahoma. So I could see them losing that one. I mean, you could see them losing any of the ones that I just named off. But like I said, man, I think that they're definitely going to be beating Georgia. The game is in Austin, but it does come right after their Oklahoma game. So that could be a little bit of cause for concern. But I think that Texas should preseason have the best odds to win the SEC. Next, I'm going to have UGA. We see they've got Clemson to start the season off. A whole lot of buzz around Clemson early on. Not quite sure why, because I don't think that they're going to have that good of a team. But they also have Alabama. That game is in Tuscaloosa. And then they have Auburn. They get that game at home. Auburn's going to be a good team this season if their quarterback play can come along. But we all know what Coach Hugh Freeze did to UGA last season and what he did to Alabama last season. So do not count that as a surefire win for UGA by any means. Then, as we just talked about Texas, I definitely have that one as a loss for UGA. And then they've got to go to Ole Miss as well. That's another one that I could definitely see UGA losing. And then they get to play up against our Volunteers in Athens. Of course, I have our Vols winning that one. But I have UGA honestly losing maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 games this season. I know a lot of y'all saying there's no way in the world, but keep in mind that they were struggling with almost every single team that they played up against last season in the first half. It was just their depth that was able to win the games late. It's not because they're doing something that you just can't stop or any of that. It's just that they have a whole lot of depth. And now that they're playing against some teams that have a lot more depth that can kind of compete with them for 60 minutes, I think that at the end of those games, man, do you trust Carson Beck? You know, are you going to put the ball in his hands to go out there and win it for you? I don't think that you do. He's not that type of a quarterback. He's a game manager, maybe like at the highest level, but he is not a go out and win a ball game for you type of a quarterback. So I honestly maybe could have had them even lower, but I just didn't do it because if you look at them on paper, they should be very high up on this list. So I have them at number 2. And number 3, I have our Volunteers. I think that we should most definitely be up in this mix because our schedule is not as difficult as either of the 2 teams that we just talked about. Our toughest games are going to be NC State. That will be a big test. Then we've got Oklahoma. That's going to be another one. Florida's always a test for us. Alabama, I mean, we already know that's going to be another test, but both of those games will be in Neyland, so I feel good about that. And then we've got Georgia. Going down to Athens, yes, that's going to be a very difficult game, but I think that if we're clicking on all cylinders, that we are built to beat UGA. I mean, the offensive line looks good. That's been the problem before. Now that we should have some time to block with a quarterback that will go out and win the game if it's close at the end. And Nico, all the playmakers that we have, I think that our team is really built better for the playoffs especially, but I have us at number 3. And at number 4, I have Alabama, and I'm looking at their schedule. Not a whole lot that really concerns you, right? I mean, Wisconsin, I think that they're going to handle them for sure. UGA, that one's going to be in Tuscaloosa. I mean, that's going to be tough for them, but I do think that they'll win that one at home. They're built kind of similar to how Tennessee is. Their offense doesn't really run off that tempo, but they will spread you out. So I would not be surprised to see Kalen DeBoer along with Coach Saban come together and find a way to beat UGA at home. And then after that, they've got us. I definitely have them losing that one in Neyland. But I have them winning the rest of these games. At LSU, that's always going to be tough. I think that's probably going to be a night game. How does Kalen DeBoer do in his first game in Death Valley at night? We'll see. Okay, a whole lot of this is yet to be determined, but I think that Alabama has a good enough roster still. And they've got a really good coaching staff. I think that they should be up there in the top 5. So I've got them at number 4. And at number 5, I got good old Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. Their schedule doesn't look too difficult, right? I mean, you're just kind of going through. LSU's a tough one, Oklahoma's a tough one, and then Georgia's a tough one. Outside of that, they should be able to win all those games. And I think that, really, I mean, they should be about 50-50 with the ones that look tough. So I would expect for them to have a really good season. I mean, look for them to maybe only lose 1 to 2 games. I think that there's going to be a few teams in the SEC that aren't playing one another, with Texas, Ole Miss, and our Volunteers. They could all only have maybe like 1 loss. So how does that work towards the end? Who ends up going on to the SEC championship? And then, who's going to win it once that matchup occurs. But yeah, I mean, really, those are probably going to end up being the top 3 teams. But just looking at it based off of, percentages, I would say the Ole Miss needs to be right here at number 5. And I'm going to give you all a bonus one right here at number 6. I got the LSU Tigers. I think that they are going to have a really good team this season. Their offensive line looks very stout. They've got a whole lot of talent. Can they get that defense fixed? If that defense gets fixed, I could very easily see them playing up against Tennessee, maybe in the SEC title game. But whenever you're looking at their schedule, first game versus USC, that's going to be a real challenge, especially for their defense. But we'll know a lot about LSU after that game. And then as you look at the rest of the schedule, not a whole lot, right? I mean, Ole Miss, obviously that one's going to be tough, but that one is at home. So I think that they can win that game potentially. Texas A&M is another really good team. The game versus Alabama, that's always a tough one every single season. How does that rivalry look now without Saban? We will see. Would not be surprised to see LSU win that game. And then at the end of the season, they get Oklahoma. So it is a much tougher schedule, and that's why I had them a little bit lower on this list. But I think that this is a team that we need to start paying a little bit more attention to because they've got the makings of a team that could really make it to the playoffs and make a push once they get into the playoffs. All right, now on to the official visits. I think that this is what everyone has been waiting for. We're only going to be talking about 3 players today, though, because hearing from the insiders and also hearing from the players after their visits, these are the ones that I feel like we're in the best chance with to land at the end of the day. We'll be starting off with the 3-star safety from Hawaii, Aiden Manutai. He is listed at 6 feet tall, 170 pounds, but it sounds like he came in a little bit undersized compared to what he's listed at. But it does sound like he enjoyed his visit a whole lot, okay? We also heard before that a guy like Jalen McMurray came in undersized on his visit from Temple as a transfer player, but we did end up landing him. So I think that the staff might still try to pursue Aiden just because we've been after him for such a long time. And if you look at his film, he's versatile enough to be a really good shutdown player in the secondary, whether it's at corner or at star or at safety. Sounds like he spent a whole lot of time with Coach Banks and Coach Martinez, and they said, hey, look, we like you playing either at star or at like a free safety. And that's about what we said as well. It sounds like he enjoyed all of the facilities. He loves the way that things are kind of geared towards developing football players. And he also said that he loved the way that there's like a brotherhood amongst everyone up there in Knoxville. And he said that that's kind of like the secret sauce to having a championship program. And I think he's exactly right about that. So he's got a couple more visits. He's got Nebraska coming up next weekend. on the 14th. And then after that, he's going to have Washington on the 21st. He's set to announce July the 12th. I think Tennessee's in a pretty good spot with him, but there really is no telling. Doesn't sound like the insiders feel like, he's too high on Tennessee. Not quite sure what's going on there, but I think that we should be good. We'll see what happens with these next couple of visits. Hopefully we can land them, because I feel like we do need to get another safety type of a body in this class on top of what we already have. The next player is going to be Jaden Lofton. He is a 6'4", 250-pound defensive end from New Jersey. Now, the 6'4", 250 is what he came in at on his visit. Sounds like the staff absolutely loves him. Sounds like he absolutely loves the staff, and he loves Tennessee. He's trending very heavily towards Tennessee. He also talked about his trainer back in Jersey, reminding him a lot of Coach G. He said, man, he coaches me, trains me the same way that my trainer does back in Jersey. That's big. You cannot underestimate how big of a thing that is. He also said that he kind of feels at home down in Knoxville. He went tubing for the first time, and he's looking forward to just seeing some new things, seeing some different things. And, obviously going from Knoxville to New Jersey, that's a completely different place, or there's two completely different places. So it will be a good change of pace for him. He does have a couple more visits coming up, though. He's got Syracuse coming up next week. That's going to be on the 14th, and then he's got Penn State on the 21st. I think that we do kind of have to worry about those two teams. Syracuse has not, recently been a very good team, but they've got a staff that can go out and recruit their butts off. I think that they're trending in the right direction. Can they land this young man right here in Jaden Lofton at the end? Have to keep a close eye on it, but I also think that Penn State coach Franklin does a really good job with pass rushers, and that's a lot closer to home for him, both of those schools. So can we kind of hold on right now? We've got all of the momentum, but can we hold on to it to close this thing out? Sounds like we're in a really good spot to do so. Now, for the last player, Josh Petty, the 5-star offensive lineman from Georgia, grew up as a Tennessee fan. He talked about that after his visit. He said, man, I grew up a huge Tennessee fan, so I already knew a whole lot about the program and all that, but I learned even more on this visit. And he also said, that he kind of lost interest with Tennessee. He said that he was iffy kind of midway through this whole process, but he said that Tennessee has regained that ground, and Tennessee was his leader to start this whole thing off. Sounds like we're neck and neck with Florida State. Now, something else that I took away from just hearing him talk was that he's really high on the academic side of this. Kind of talked about how Tennessee isn't the most prestigious academic school as compared to a school like Florida State or Georgia Tech. Those schools are very prestigious academically, but he did say that Tennessee kind of made some ground with him on that side of things because of the alumni having so many connections. And it's not what you know, it's who you know. Hopefully he understands that. He's a very well-spoken young man, so I think that he will get that. And because he grew up as a Tennessee fan, I think that just kind of seeing the totality of everything, Tennessee's showing him that love like we've talked about for weeks now, showing him that, hey, you are a priority to us, and him wanting to play with David Sanders, G-Mac, and, several other blue chip types of players. I think that at the end of the day, Tennessee can win this young man. But we've got to get through June the 21st, where he's going to be going back down to Florida State. That's going to be his last official visit. What did they do? I'm sure they're going to roll the red carpet out for him. We'll see what happens, but he's supposed to be announcing at some point in August. He said that would be ideal for him. Probably wants to get it over with before the football season starts, before school starts, all that good stuff. But I think that Tennessee's good here. He's kind of hard to read, but I would say that I feel like Tennessee's neck and neck with Florida State. We just got to finish strong. So that's it for this video. Thank y'all for sticking all the way to the end. Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.